Okay, I did this out in the car and it made people scream. You know, when you think about how fucked up what that agent bullied me into everything. On a recorded line. He needs to go to jail. He's committed life in federal just for the recorded line. I'm gonna go over how I was sick, and I told you I think that they were going to kill me in 2003. But it went all wrong, so they had to back off and wait to do it later. 20 something years ago, one day I started screaming. Dave rushed me to the hospital. They did an emergency appendectomy. The doctor said it didn't look bad, but the way she's screaming, we took it out. Okay. Well, a couple of months later, I'm screaming on the same spot. They said, "Have you ever been checked for cysts?" I had endometriosis. Fluid filled cysts growing inside of me, exploding. It will double you over. Okay. It's bleeding, so they're bursting so bad. I'm bleeding into my stomach at times. They had to go into my belly button, through it, and repair stuff. And then one time I was bleeding so bad, they said if I wouldn't have been in the hospital, I would have died. They had to cut around the bottom, my belly button. I have a thick line on my stomach, inside and out of my belly button. They had to repair it so many times. It got so bad, my uterus flipped over, and when I have my monthly, I bleed out on the ground, so I had a lower hysterectomy. A couple more months later, screaming again. The endometriosis went into my ovaries. Um, and uh, the one ovary has a little cyst all over it, and they were popping. And one has one as big as a golf ball. They said if that golf ball one burst, you're dead. So they cut me side to side and take it out. In the meantime, from the burning treatments and the medication they're trying to kill the endometriosis with, it was causing kidney stones, and I was getting knocked out and stents put in and out of my kidneys. Okay, on top of it. All right, so once they cut me side to side and took my ovaries out, I finally got better, and then one day I got really sick and I had pancreatitis. So looking for the cause of it, my gallbladder quit working from everything. They took my gallbladder out and had me on enzymes for a while. Then I had a knot in my stomach, and it was scar tissue. They had to take it out. I finally got better, and one day I start bleeding like I'm having a heavy period. They're looking for the cause of it, and one of the kidney stones had kinked my kidney tube, so, and the kidney itself was bleeding. They cut me 4 inches on my back and took the damaged part of the kidney tube out and repaired it. That's when my muscles locked up. All those surgeries within 2 years. It was horrible. Instead of staying in bed, I went to pain management. The ones I went to were witch doctors. I was 105 pounds of misery. I, they started me on 30 shots of steroids up and down my neck and back. That's way too much. I went from 105 pounds to 250 pounds in 8 months. Started me on alternative medicine. My feet started swelling right away, and I asked if it was medication. No, you have an underlying condition. No, I didn't. The whole time, the only things wrong with me is from all the trauma to my stomach and back, my muscles contracted and wouldn't release. They didn't have time to heal. Why don't you think of this while I go through everything? Okay, it goes, my feet start swelling, goes into my legs. My legs double in size and my knees are popping out of place. I'm going to orthopedic doctors. They're pulling turkey-based syringes of fluid out of my knees. But 2-pound braces on my legs, trying to hold my knees together, and gave me canes to stable myself. My heart got off. I end up in the cardiac ward on calcium blockers, nitro pills. They're sending me more doctors. Falsely getting diagnosed across the board. Okay? My thyroid shuts down, my adrenal gland shuts down, my brain starts swelling. Okay? They tell me I have pituitary tumors. They want to take my pituitary gland out. My stomach's bleeding from the medication. They want to put a bag on my side. I go to my regular doctor. I said, "What do you think about this?" She said, "For one thing, we're going to have a long talk what these doctors are doing. There's nothing wrong with you but your muscle lockdown. What is going on is you have something called what we call the golden ticket insurance company. It pays for almost everything. What they're doing is they're falsely diagnosing you, writing out these big prescriptions, and they're getting kickbacks from the drug companies from $200 to $1,000 per false prescription that they're writing for you. The medicine's making you sick, and that's why you're swelling and everything's quit working. And she said, and then they're sharing it with your associates and their friends, and they're doing the same thing. Now they want to do unnecessary procedures. The only thing's wrong with you is your muscles locked up from all those surgeries. Get off that medication, you'll be fine. You need to get an attorney and sue them. Okay? Joanne Young told me about Dr. Eli. Get you on high doses of pain medicine, get you out moving. He said the same thing. I get you off that medication, you'll be surprised how fast you get well. But your muscles are locked tight. I have to get you out enough pain and get so that you can actually move those muscles. As you move the muscles, blood flow will get into those muscles and they'll relax, and then you can build new muscle tissue. You'll be fine. He said, I had a lady not quite as bad as you, and in 9 months I ever run on a treadmill. I thought, you're nuts. I'm 250 pounds, a swollen mess. Okay? He said, it's the medication making you sick. There's nothing wrong with you, but your muscles locked up. Okay? Here I'm dying from medical malpractice. He said, I get you off that medication, be surprised how fast you get well. First month, I lost 30 pounds. By the second month, I'm pulling myself around stores and malls. I end up in so much pain. He put me on fentanyl patches. It's 100 times stronger than morphine. He said, I have to get you out enough pain to move. And muscle relaxers, okay? The first month, I lost 30 pounds. Second month, I'm out pulling myself around stores and malls. End up in the emergency room in so much pain. He's like, make her comfortable. She's got to move. By the third month, it stopped happening. My brain swelling's gone. My heart's beating fine. My thyroid and my adrenal glands working. The only thing was wrong with me is my muscles locked up. They all lied to rip me off. Okay? I'm deflating like a balloon. Now, I started in November. By January, February, I'm already practicing walking around the house, leaning on things, falling on my ass, falling on my face. My mom, she is so proud of me, and I used to get so angry and yell at anybody who said anything. I'd take 4 steps, I'd take 10 steps, and I'd fall on my face. Oh, look, you made it that far. It's like, shut up, I'm trying. And I know she knew I was trying. And I was so humiliated that I couldn't walk. Nobody could say a word to me while I was trying. Because it hurt so bad. I'm a grown woman, and I'm learning to walk again. It was humiliating. And when I left, I always made sure I had my canes and braces, because you can fall on carpet. It's not that bad. It still hurts, but it's not like you fall on cement, you break something. I couldn't afford a setback again. And I was doing my own grocery shopping by February or March. I was doing my own house cleaning, my own cooking. I would do everything. I drove my own car. I was fine. I just had to wait for the swelling to go down and my muscles to get strong enough for me to walk again and keep practicing. By April, I'm down to a 16 from a 24. I'm deflating that fast, and I'm pulling myself up and down streets, malls, stores, going everywhere. I was finally well, and I was mobile. Wasn't fast mobile, but I was mobile. Everybody at church, when I'd show up, we always see you out at stores, we see you in malls, we see you out pulling yourself up and down the streets. You're going to beat this, Karen. I was working my ass off. May 3rd, 2003, we're all at home working on our home. And there was a church baseball game. We kept everybody home so we could get everything done. Brian Laney showed up, and he told us that Phil was running late he had Tyler with him, his grandson, or was running late for a church baseball game, and so was a bunch of other people. He was the lead car, and he blew through a stop sign into a semi. Everybody couldn't believe he didn't even try to stop for that stop sign and went right through it into a semi. Killed them both. John grabbed his phone and ran outside. And the boys are talking to him, and I waddled down with just my braces and don't fall, kind of waddle like a duck out to the car, asked John if he's okay. He said, Mom, they're really dead. I said, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm talking to my friends. So I waddle back up the steps, and I get in the house, and Brian seen me walk that day, with just braces, outside. But around the house, I didn't even use anything. I would try to uh, hold on to a wall or step if I went to lose balance, or a desk or something, just before I'd hit the ground. But it was learning to walk again on numb feet. It was horrible. By now, I'm almost well in May, actually, even April. Um, Here it is, May 3rd, 2003, when that happened. Okay? Her father killed her kid in an arrogant stunt of running a stop sign. He was wealthy, a nice guy, but a show off. He probably told them to hold on, we're blowing through it. And it killed them both in an arrogant stunt of not stopping. Okay? And Brian said it was so horrible that, because they're cult people, they couldn't call the Vegas themselves. They called strange. He called them liars, calling them name, hung up, and they had to wait for the bodies to get to the hospital because they're call people, and they were too afraid to call the Vegas because Strange called them a liar because they're not adults. They don't have their own minds. They're controlled. Come July, I'm down to a 14, 16. My feet are in an 8 loose, where my feet were so swollen. My feet are normally 7, 7.5 shoes. I had went to an 8, 8.5 wide. About like that thick of feet. They were almost an inch thick. They were huge, and they're almost back to normal by now. And the eight regulars are loose. I'm almost normal. I'm walking around even outside a lot of times with just the canes. I didn't even need the braces. I was on two fentanyl patches, and I had already went down to one. I got them refilled in June. Here it is, July, and a missionary just showed up, and he prayed for me. I want you to rebuke the pain. I want you to fight through the pain. Been doing that for 9 months. Dr. Eli's actually getting mad at me because he had a lady running on a treadmill. Come, what was it, February or March? He wanted me to go out and buy 2-pound weights and put them on my swollen legs. I tried. That man's insane. That caused so much pain. It was ridiculous. I could not handle more weight on those swollen legs. But he had a lady running on a treadmill, but she didn't have all that other swelling to deal with that I did. And everybody gets well on their own pace. And he's been pushing me to get well faster. And like I said, that missionary showed up. He prayed for me. I want you to rebuke the pain. I want you to fight through the pain. I've been doing that for 9 freaking months. He said, I want you to try to walk by faith. I had sat in one position, my feet had went up. I fell backwards, and I left with my canes. On a long street on a paper route for my kids, I was out there pulling myself around. And the first day, nothing happened. Second, third day, fourth day, 9 months into working out, my muscles quit contracting. The spontaneous remission that happens 80% of the time, I had to work my ass off. I didn't need the fentanyl patches anymore. It took me 4 months to get completely off of them. The withdrawal was horrible. And I still fell for 2 more months. Dear God, I was in Macy's, lost balance, fell under a clothing rack. I was so embarrassed. But I had to work my ass off to get well. Come November, my sister Linda is married to Strange's son Tim. She had been out one day and seen him out with Katie, and she followed him a couple times, found out they were cheating, had my mom follow him and my sister Lori, and he's cheating. Strange with if he liked your husband, he would threaten to take everything from you, including your kids. With that being his son, she would lose everything. So she just followed him, and it's stupid. It's like if either say something and move on or stay out of it because they're cheating. But she kept following. She come up to me in November of 2003. This is 6 months after that kid got killed in a traffic accident I had nothing to do with, and 4 months after I got well. She comes up to me on a Wednesday night. I was following him again. I got caught. I think they thought it was you. I'm sorry. Be careful. I'm like, great. Thanks. Well, Sunday morning, I had a headache and I didn't go to church, and Josh didn't go to church. Dave, Dave and Danny had went, and John. Danny comes in. You're not my mother. I don't have to listen to you. I'm like, whoa, you're 14. You're grounded. He runs out. Josh walks in the room and went, what on earth is wrong with Danny? I said, I don't know. Let's go over to Heather's house, his girlfriend's. I go over. Her sister Brazilia's there and Joy's there, her mom. And she said, well, Danny's been thinking about trying to kill himself. I said, kill himself? He said that minister wants him to help destroy people in the church. I said, destroy people in the church? She said, yes. And he said he'd rather kill himself. He's 14. That's my baby. I'm driving up and down the streets looking for him, freaking out. I see the minister's car at the church. I said, Josh, I don't want him to know he's acting out. Till I find out what's going on with him. Wait here in the car. It's a glass door. I step in and I said, hey, have you ever seen Danny? Have you seen Danny? He pins me by my face to the back door. Confess you were never sick. I said, I would never do that. He said, you're a spoiled little brat. Nobody likes it in this church. I said, well, you never did like me. He's like, you'll be lucky to see your kid again. That's kidnapping. You know that, right? He said, and you're Satan. And just the sight of you would hurt the church's children. Not that I would, but I'm that ugly. I'm not that ugly. He said, just looking at you would hurt them. Now get off my property. You'll be lucky to see your kid again. And pushes me out the door. Josh is like, I'm like, he took Danny. I had a big welt on my face. I'm like, take me up to Dad. He didn't always have these big jobs. He had a extra part-time job at Pizza Hut. He took me up there, and I told him he took Danny. He's like, Karen, go home. I'll clock out. I'll come over and get you, and then we'll go over and find out what's going on with Danny. Instead, he goes over there. Okay. I call my mom. She calls over there, and she's like, you better be giving Danny back. He said, we'll give him back when we're done. What do you mean we'll give him back when they're done? Dave comes home. Strange says you're Satan. You can never go to church again. I said, what do you mean I can't go to church again? I said, where's Danny? He'll give him back when he's done. I said, what do you mean give him back when he's done? He said, and don't look at me. You're Satan. Stay away from me. And he's running around screaming, runs outside. My neighbor, Michelle, next door comes over and said, Karen, what on earth is going on? I said, that minister took Danny. He assaulted me. I still have a mark. And her husband Jerry's like, I'd rip that door off that church and go in there and get my kid. I said, what on earth? And my mom calls me and she's like, Karen, I'm never going back there. They're not taking me. Dave shows back up. He said, I'll be going over to church early and I'll bring Danny back when he's done with him. I said, what do you mean done with him? Cry. He said, and you're never allowed to go to church anymore. Strange says you're Satan. Okay? All right. I get Danny back that night. He's shaking like this. Mom, I'm sorry. He lied. His whole body is shaking like he has cerebral palsy. Okay? And he kept saying he lied. All right? The next morning, I hear the car start up. I go outside. It's Danny. He's 14. He's taking the car. There was a big tree at the end of the street. He's going towards it. I'm running and screaming. He looks back and he looks over and he passes out and the car goes and rears off into someone's yard. Thank God it stopped. I get down there, he's still slunked over. I push him over. I get the car home. Josh helps me get him inside. I leave him alone for a minute. And I use the bathroom and get a drink. I hear the dirt bike start. There used to be a telephone pole at the end of Lennox. And I'm like, I hear the dirt bike start. I run outside. It's Danny. They had dropped gravel around there. I'm so glad they did. He's racing towards it with the dirt bike. I'm screaming. He looks back and he literally rocks in the gravel, and he got all scuffed up. I got him home, and we ended up in the child and adolescent, or I mean, the crisis center. He told them that Strange took him that day, starved him all day, screamed at him on the pulpit till he said what he wanted, and he didn't remember half the day. Um, all right. And he told Georgine Vovusa at the Child and Adolescent Center and Linda at the Child and Adolescent Center and a psychiatrist for the Child and Adolescent Center the same thing. And that's why he tried to kill himself. All right. And he had to be on medication. He got diagnosed with bulimia and post-traumatic syndrome. I had to, by November, we didn't have insurance. I had to go out and get a full-time job with insurance and pay for medication and counseling and a tutor for school. I had to hire a babysitter to sit with him so that he wouldn't try to harm himself. Georgine Vovusa called Dave and asked him what was his part of it, that minister taking Danny. He said, I wouldn't talk to you without an attorney. She said, well, we'll put it this way. If that church or anyone tries anything with Danny or your wife again for the next 20 years, we'll take care of them ourselves. We'll go back 20 years and put that minister in jail for taking Danny and pushing him to try to kill himself. He said, and for assaulting your wife. They started nailing my mother's tires, she's way up in her 60s, putting 3-inch tires, nails in her tires and sharp objects till she moved away to Illinois. She made a report in the Montgomery, Illinois police department. They said if she wouldn't have moved away, they would have killed her. They would have killed me in 2003 and made up that reason. But the social workers threatened him. So they waited and used a pathetic excuse later.